Today we had these who's on at headquarters at Randwick, where we had the Epsom on, and also the Metrop being the last race. And as I think I said last year, uh, what a shame we don't get on this October long weekend the crowds like we always used to get on the Monday. This Monday coming, I hate to say that I think the crowd will be very variation. There won't be many grumble and grunters there. Of course, the Metrop always used to be run on the Monday. There were plenty of people who took the double, used to play the Epsom Metrop double, but in recent years we've seen the Epsom Metrop run on the same day as it was today. The Whiz Kid, what's his name? What is this good boy's name? When he does grab hold of their head after he gets those reins, and he gathers the reins in, and Jay Marira, they seem to run pretty well for him. Anyway, just before we get to today's meeting, we had the meeting at Canterbury on Wednesday. The track was good. The rail was 3 metres out. It was fairly firm track. We had a northeasterly breeze blowing all day, and the track at Canterbury once again didn't play complete fence rail up situation, even though the rail was in that 3 metre position. We had winners lead on the fence and also come from behind. So there's no bias at Canterbury on Wednesday. I think I mentioned that when I was late talking about last week's review. We went to Wyong on Thursday, where we had the situation where the track was good. The rail was in the normal position. There was a light breeze, a norwesterly blowing early on in the day. After about 3 races, maybe 4, it changed around to a northeasterly. It was only light, didn't have any effect on any of the runners, and you were able to save ground on the fence and win, and also come from behind with a bit of pace and also get home. There were a couple of runners that looked all right at the Wyong meeting. Resuming from a spell in race 6, ridden by Jay Parr, a runner called the Special 2. By the same token, it did get a good bit of pace up front in the 6 furlong race, but gee whiz, it came home as last 633.82, running over the top of the leader on the fence anytime at the finish to win very well. And we also saw a good win in the last race there. A runner called Stable Surprise was in all sorts of trouble, ridden by Bold Blake Shin, but was still able to get home. Now we got to today's meeting at Randwick. The track was good. The rail was in the normal position, and the penetrometer was only 4.89, fairly firm. But the track, well, we only saw one leader get home and stay on the fence, and that was in the Colts race in the Breeders' Plate race 2, where we saw Vancouver, trained by Gay, ridden by Ty Agland, go straight to the lead, stay on the fence. The Avery Soborg sat on the outside of the second pick. The winner, we put it up 5-2 Vancouver, and it got out to, well, we put it up 9-4, 9-4 Barrett. It got out to $4.60 on the fence, came in to start a $4.20 second pick, hard to get at the finish of betting, and we put it up 11-8 on chance. We'll have 11-8. Soberg got out to $1.85, but came into $1.75 towards the end of betting. And as I say, I sat on the outside of Vancouver, couldn't get past it. The margin was 1.3 lengths at the finish. What else do you say there? It ran on. It wasn't a bad run in that race. Steinmack, trained by Waller, ridden by Schofield. The first race there. Well, first of all, the first race, we captains, not the robots, of course. Now, those robots betting all of those lovely grumble and grunters upstairs and the members and whatever, they don't see the prices that we bet down here in the marketplace. And in the first race, we only got a 100%. And this was a result for the captains because Cavalrite, it sat back in the field in second last position. Darley got the Cornella here. The leader on the fence, Igraine, it held on for second, staying close to the fence, possibly not the place to be. And as I say, Cavalrite, it came from second last down the outside, and it was a good result for the bookies. Most probably only the only result the captains had all day. We put it up a $16 chance, and it got out to $21 at the end of betting. There was money for the three favourites at stages of the betting. Flaunting, we put it up a 7-2 chance, got out to $5, back into $4.40ish, $4.20. Prevail, a bit hard to lay Prevail. We put it up $2.90, got out to $3.80, and Speak Fondly, who pulled up all right, but apparently when being shod on Thursday, was inspected by the vet, having a bit of a sensitivity in one of its hooves. It's near 4 foot, but it was cleared by the vet when it was produced at the races today. It sat in fifth position, ran a fair race, but the winner came from behind and down the outside and was able to win, running a lot better than its trial suggested. And as I say, we only gave 100 there. Now I'll go through this quickly. I said the second race, told you about the second race, and we got 106 here, but there were plenty of runners that weren't layable. In the third race, we only gave 97 in this race, which was won by the favourite Hampton Court, ridden by the Singaporean boy Jay Marira. He led earlier on. It is trained by Gay. Gay had Hampton Court and also Duccio. Marira handing up the lead to the stablemate after they'd gone a few furlongs. And then when he tried to get clear, turning for home, he was actually held up for a couple of strides. But when he flattened out and grabbing hold of Hampton Court's head, it began to lengthen and was too strong for the stablemate, beating it by 3/4 of a length when they got down to the line. In this race, as I say, we only bet 97%. The runner that was very hard to lay was Backman. We put it up the 2-to-1 equal favourite. Well, have you 2-to-1 the field? 2-to-1 the field it was. Backman and Hampton Court, put them up twos a pair. And Backman, they only returned at $4. SP $4. On the fence, you could get $4.40 when they jumped, and very, very hard to lay. Whereas Hampton Court, after opening up the 2-to-1 equal favourite, got out to $3.20, $3.30, came into $2.60 or $2.70, very hard to get towards the end of betting, and it was a bad result for the captains. Race 4, we gave 101 here, and the betting here more or less told the tale, because Hallowed Crown, we put it up to $2.25, 5 to 4 the field, we said, and at the finish of betting it was $2.80. It was 5 to 4 to 7 to 4, whereas the winner, Brazen Bow, we put it up 3 to 1 second pick, 3 to 1 bar. It got out to $4.60. At one stage, this runner did touch $3.40. It was 7 to 2 to a touch under the 5 to 2. Muggins here, I was $3.70 when they jumped, ridden by this boy again, Jay Marira. He sat in third position, eased off heels coming to the turn, and was a little bit too strong for them. Hallowed Crown was reported to the Stipes this morning that after track work or after waking up, it had a bit of a cough, and but he ate all of his brekkie up by the same token. He had all of his oats, and was inspected by the vet when he got to the course. The vet said, no, nothing wrong with you, you can run around. But apparently, well, not apparently, but after Hallowed Crown raced, was inspected by the vet and had a poor rate recovery. So maybe that cough could have had something to do with it, and also missing. Well, what's it had? 4 starts for 4 wins, and all been on affected tracks. It was on top of the ground today, which also could have had something to do with it. That's about all you'd say there. Race 5. Well, here we saw the very well backed Moriarty, the second favourite, beat the favourite more or less in the last 2 strides, but was, even though it had beaten in the last 2 strides, was more or less going to get it from the furlong on, ridden by Bold Blake Shin. He gave it a very solid preliminary, apparently, around the barrier, Moriarty. It was $3.70. We only gave 97% in this race. I'll give you the flux. This is one race, the only race I'll give you the flux. Well, we put it up $3.60 or $3.50 Moriarty, 5 to 2 bar it. It got out to $4.40. Back into $3.50 at one stage, back out to $3.70. Slow pace went from $7 out to $9. Dan Shy went from 21 to 31. Canny Ballard, 15 into 14, back out to 16, back into $14. Villanova, $8 out to $9. And the Avery Rising Romance, we put it up a shade of odds on, 10 to 9 on. We'll have you 10 for 9, and got out to, well, you wouldn't see it. On the fence, I did see on a few boards 2.30, which never saw the flux screen. In the outside ring, as much as $2.40 given. It did start only 2.20. And, well, the winner was trained by Chris Waller. He did have Dan Shy in the race, and also Villanova. And at one stage, after leading early in the race, the favourite Rising Romance, it was taken on by Dan Shy, who eventually went to the lead. And then after being on the fence behind the leader and sitting outside the leader now, Rising Romance, was Canny Ballard, ridden by Catwalk Corey Brown, and he eased off their heels. Instead of being trapped 3 wide coming to the turn, he took off before the turn, actually found the fence, and then Dan Shy found itself behind it, where it was eventually before that, and the favourite still outside the lead. And while all this was happening, sitting back smoking his pipe, was Bold Blake Shin on Moriarty, eased to the outside, which was possibly better, and sailed down the outside and won by 0.1 of a length, beating Rising Romance towards the end of the race. And as I say, we only gave 97%. Race 6, well, here we saw the very unlucky runner of the day, the runner that should have got home clearly, and that was General Life, ridden by James McDonald. Being in an awkward position, last on the fence, he had no alternative when they turned for home but to hope for a middle split. He couldn't go back. and ease around their heels, because Scorpio Queen was on his outside. He would have lost a lot of ground in doing so. And unfortunately for James McDonald, the split never ever came, and he more or less ran up the rise looking for a run, and after trying to get out, finished up throwing his hands up in the air more or less and going to the line unextended, never ever getting a run. The favourite, by the same token, sat 3 wide on a fairly average pace, Famous Seamus, and was able to scrape in and beat the leader, who was close to the fence all the way, Charlie Boy, who ran a much better race than it did in Melbourne last start, and beat it by 0.2 of a length. Between the first 6 runners in a field of 7, there was only 2.2 lengths. And as I say, if it would have got clear running turning for home, if the split would have appeared, I had no doubt that General Life would have won very, very clearly. We got to the Epsom in race 7, and we saw the boy Joe Marira or Carrera. He goes like a Carrera, or what do they call those Porsches? Carreras. He crouches down. As I say, and once he gets those reins gathered in around there, gets hold of their melon, they seem to flatten out very well for him. He was able to catch a stablemate ridden by Horseman Bowman right on the line to beat it by 0.1 of a length. Gee whiz, the weights in these big races seem to be becoming, well, it's everybody's talking about it, very unfair. Bobbin, 58 kilos, and then you get down to the limit weight here, 52, only 6 between the top weight in the Epsom and the runner on the limit. Benchmark horses more or less against group horses. The weights are too compressed. Everybody knows it. Anyway, they got away at the finish. The stable pair, Raw Descent and He's Your Man, from the rest of them, showing their superiority. We only gave 104% in the Epsom, and the winner was we put it up a $5.50 chance, got out to $6, back into $5.50. But then got out to $6.50, which was taken, and also the $6 was fairly hard to get at the finish, and there were no real hard luck stories. There was nothing that was well, it was track wide in the run. Hooked drew barrier 14, a field of 15. It ran a very good race. Hooked finished up running third after being trapped wide all the way, so there was merit in its run. And what else do you say? The first and second there were a little bit too good for the rest of them. The runner that started favourite, Toydini, settled back in second last position, pulled up coughing, so apparently everything might have been right with its health. Copped a small pratt in the run, but it did run very, very ordinarily. We got to race 8, the Flight Stakes. Well, this turned out to be not a contest. Bowl Blake Shin to the fore again. He sat in 4th position, one back, I should say. We only gave 102% in this race, and going back to race 6, we only gave the neat 100 there. Leicester Toyota Lexus. Race 8, 102 we gave. It travelled well for him, first sealed in the 1 position, as I say. He just cruised, eased off heels coming to the turn, cruised up 3 wide, hitting the rise. Bowl Blake Shin hadn't moved. He released the ribbons, and away it went. It won by 3 lengths. The favourite, got back in the field, Winks, and then went up on the inside, ridden by Horseman Bowman. He eased off heels, turning for home, just brushing runners whilst trying to get clear, and having every possible chance to go out after the favourite. Not the favourite, yes, the favourite, of course, first he'll start a favourite, but he just couldn't. He was no match for it. As I say, the margin was 3 lengths. We only bet 102. We put them up 6-4 a pair. 6-4 the field, we said. You can lay us 4-1 on. You can't pick it. Well, if you'd laid the 4 on, you got the cash. But it was Winks was $2.50 out to $3, which didn't reach the flux screen. It was on the fence with 2 of our biggest captains into $2.60 at one stage. I was $2.70 towards the end of betting. First seal, when after the $3 was taken about, Winks got out to $2.70, which you wouldn't see, but came into $2.40 at one stage, but got to $2.50 towards the end of betting. Press report went from 26 out to 51. Echo Gal didn't have a name, $11 out to 18. Thinking of You, the runner from Melbourne, $4.80 out to $6. 17 out to 19, or even 20 at the finish, Lady Sharapova. And Dynamic Rock was 80 out to 101. The winner won very well. Race 9, the last race, the Metrop. This was given a beautiful ride by this Melbourne Cup winning rider, Bold Blake Shin. Settled from its inside alley back in 5th position, and then when they were coming down the side, got off the fence, and the 2 leaders in this race, Travolta, who might have had enough, and chasing it and getting off its heels, moving up to its outside, coming down the outside, down the side was Iggy Pop, and behind them was Dean Martin, who was trapped wide in the run and had made a long run, finished up running a long last, beaten about 30 lengths, and it's going back to New Zealand after today. Janoob was eased off the fence by Bold Blake Shin, and the leaders were under a lot of pressure turning for home. He hadn't moved on Janoob, and of course I was, and like everybody else, was a bit what's the word? A bit surprised that there was a protest here in this race by the second horse, who most certainly I think should have won the race, the stablemate to the winner, Opinion, by Ty Aglin. Ty Aglin said that the winner caused interference to who was it to? It was to Dean Martin, who was weakening, and when the winner Janoob caused interference to Dean Martin, that caused him to be held up, losing all of his momentum at the 600 metre mark, and he was going nowhere, and the winner was going forward. And the Stipe said, yes, well, look, that might have been the case, but what's it got to do with Janoob? Nothing at all. And we're going to fine you a couple of spots for a frivolous protest, Ty Aglin. So he had to give the Stipes a couple of spots for throwing in the frivolous protest, and was dismissed. But it might have been a frivolous protest, but I've got no doubt that he should have won the race, Opinion, because, as I say, when that incident occurred, he lost all of his momentum, and he gave Janoob, who had travelled sweetly and had a beautiful run in the run, after getting clear, topping the rise, and then going back over towards the fence gradually by the time they reached the winning post. After losing his momentum, especially in a 2400 metre race, and being sort of one-paced, it was a big ask for him to run Janoob down, but he nearly did, only failing by a half a length. And it was also held up after coming from well back in the field, Araldo, ridden by Jeff Lloyd, losing its momentum and, as I say, being held up at one stage, beaten 1.3 lengths. They got well away from the others. The 4th horse, Kingdoms, was 4.4 lengths away from the winner. He did that last race. there was a little bit of purr for the captains, a little bit of purr. We had about 106, and there were quite a few runners layable. I gave $5.50 about the winner, which you wouldn't see on the flux. The best flux was $5. But as I say, there was a little bit of purr with maybe 2 or 3 runners a bit hard to lay, but it wasn't hopeless. We had a good roll up there today at Randwick. The weather being in favour of the club, it wasn't too hot. There was a steady northeasterly blowing, and it was quite comfortable at the races today. There was plenty of pen and ink out there consumed, which is the clubs rely on these days. You know, we all sort of are saying it would be a lot better. And if you're listening, if you're tuning in, and you know who you are, you're Australia's biggest grumble and grunter. You're the king. We want you back at the races. And there's a big rumour going around that we all know who we're talking about. In about 6 weeks' time, he's making a return to the track to bet with us captains, to strip us again high and dry, and it'll add a lot of, well, not add a lot more, whatever the word is, to the ring, but it'll also, of course, help the marketplace move around a bit more, because he has such an influence after he bets, whether he backs the favourite or he leaves the favourite out and backs other runners. The market changes about, which is what is needed in the marketplace. So the sooner you come back, the better we'll all like it. Now, of course, there are a couple of Who's meetings on tomorrow, and being a long weekend, of course, we've got Randwick again on Monday. We've got the Rugby League Grand Final on tomorrow between the Bunnies and the Puppies, and may the best team win. And we'll all see you grumble and grunters out at the track on Monday. And I hope if you were wire netting today, you finish with a plus sign in front of the figure at the end of the day. Good evening.